Hello, this is Mrs. Decker, and this is Objective 1C on conducting electricity. So you are going to need to determine if a substance can conduct electricity and explain why by looking at the chemical formula. So to get started, I want you to just think about this question and what you already know. So I want you to think about what types of things conduct electricity, what we use to help us conduct electricity. So for this demonstration, I put a YouTube video up on Google Classroom that goes through this demonstration. So I want you to pause my video and go ahead and watch that YouTube video. So what they're going to do is they're going to take a light meter and put it into a couple of different solids, and then they're going to add water to those solids and put the light meter back into the solution. The light meter will light up if the solution or the solid can conduct electricity. It will not light up if it cannot conduct electricity. So there are a couple of different things they are going to put the light meter in the YouTube video. What I want you to focus on is, what do you think is going to happen when the light meter is put into a salt solution? And then what do you think is going to happen when the light meter is put into the sugar solution? So think about those two questions for a couple seconds and then go ahead and watch that YouTube video. Okay, so the YouTube video showed quite a few different solutions and how they reacted to the light meter. But I want you to think about why the light meter reacted the way that it did. Why did it light up in the salt solution? Why did it not light up in the sugar solution? What's the difference between those two compounds? So the main difference between the salt and the sugar solutions is the fact that salt, NaCl, is an ionic compound, and sugar, C6H12O6, is a covalent compound. So ionic and covalent compounds are going to act differently when they're dissolved in water. If you look at the ionic compound, the salt here, NaCl, when it's dissolved in water, will break into its separate ions. So we have Na plus ions and we have Cl minus ions. Because they dissociate in that way, they break up and have charges, those charges allow the solution to conduct electricity. That does not happen with a covalent compound. So when you put a covalent compound and dissolve it into water, it will break into the individual molecules, but the molecules will still be bonded to each other. So if you put sugar into water, the large crystals that you can see are going to break up into the individual sugar molecules, and you won't be able to see them anymore, but they will still be the same sugar molecules. So things that conduct electricity are metals, ionic compounds that are dissolved in water or aqueous solutions, and melted or molten ionic compounds. Ionic compounds have very high melting points, but if you can heat them up to the point that they will melt and become a liquid, that liquid will also conduct electricity. So these are the type of questions that you should be able to answer. So I want you to pause this video, take a minute, go through all of these different compounds, and circle the ones that will conduct electricity, and then come back for the answers. All right, so solid copper is a metal that will conduct electricity. KCl is an ionic compound, and it is aqueous, which means it dissolved in water, so that will also conduct electricity. N2Cl4 is a covalent compound, so that will not conduct electricity no matter what form it is in. NaCl is an ionic compound, but the S here tells us that it's the solid NaCl, and an ionic compound will not conduct electricity in its solid form. CaCl2 is an ionic compound, and this is in the liquid form, so it will conduct electricity. pH3 is a covalent compound, so it will not. Solid silver is a metal, so it will conduct electricity. NaF is an ionic compound and aqueous dissolved in water. It will conduct electricity. Liquid MgO is an ionic compound, so it will also conduct electricity. CH4 is a covalent compound, so it will not conduct electricity. So, like I said, these are the type of questions that you should be able to answer, and you should also be able to explain why these things are going to conduct electricity, because the ionic compounds break into their individual ions, which have charges, and that allows electricity to be conducted with them. So let me know if you have any questions.